Who am I? Then my name is Mariana Bokhoy. This is also my handle for a lot of things, including LinkedIn, Twitter, Medium. And I am a consultant at Region for DevOps or SRE things, and I'm currently working at Utopia. These are the people that are co-organizing this certification study group together with me. And you're gonna likely see them throughout these weeks. We are splitting the sessions one by one. So what do we want to do? We want to take you from textbook knowledge to expertise and job role excellence. That sounds like a lot, but basically we want you to also have hands-on. And that's why this program does enable you to use Google Cloud Skill Boost, which is definitely good at being hands-on. Today, we're going to talk about, again, the journey overview. We're going to talk about the professional cloud architect specific certification and what the study schedule would be. You would get sneak peeks of the next week's topics, some tips and tricks. And then it's going to be quiz time because I have some interactive sample questions that are not super hard, but it was interesting reading through them when I prepared the slides. So we're going to see. And next steps. I also have some other 10 backup sample questions. So if there's not a lot of questions, we can also go through them, or you can see them later when you get the slides. So the journey overview. What does that mean? You learn together with us. This is a study group, and we're going to have 6 weekly live sessions where we go through content and the exam prep questions, as well as your questions. And if there's something that you would like to present, you can reach out to us and we can definitely make you some space to do that. There are also on-demand resources. A lot of you have already gotten access to Cloud Skill Boost, but if you haven't, do ping us on Slack and we will try our best to get you access. There's also the community forum, which is basically the Slack channel, where you can also connect with people from previous courses. During Google Cloud Skill Boost courses, you're also going to get skill badges. Then, the professional cloud architect. What does that mean? It's one certification out of several. The Google Cloud certifications range from foundational, associate, and then professional. The foundational one, you don't need any experience. The associate is usually for more entry-level people that have some experience, but not a lot. And then the professional is when you want to specialize into a type of subject. And here we're talking about specifically the professional cloud architect one. And what does that mean? It means you learn how to design, develop, and manage robust, secure, scalable, highly available, and dynamic solutions. It sounds like a mouthful, but basically you go through best practices and different parts of the cloud. And that is design and plan. Then you need to manage and provision, but it doesn't stop there because there's also security and compliance, and you always have to keep up to date and optimize things that maybe are becoming slow and continue maintaining it and take care of reliability, which is harder than it sounds. And this is the journey that we're going to go through. Each week, we're not going to actually teach you anything directly. We're going to cover some things, but mainly we're going to do some presentations, and then the learning is going to be more outside of this 1 hour session because 1 hour is realistically not a lot to do things. So you can see that in different weeks, you have different courses. And this week, your homework is to go through these 2 on-demand training, which is preparing for the professional cloud architect exam, which has some videos and content. Then Google Cloud Fundamentals, Cloud Infrastructure, and you have the hands-on practice lab where you will get this skill badge. Isn't it wonderful? So that's practically what you're gonna do over the next week. If you get stuck, or if you have some questions, you can reach out on Slack. We are here to help. Also, if you get bored, you can always put yourself a challenge, and instead of clicking through the assignment, taking the Google Cloud account and doing everything with Terraform. Just saying. I mean, you don't have to. And then the next weeks. In week 2, it's all about design. It's about designing, knowing how to understand business requirements, technical requirements, network and storage, and migration plans. Practically, you would wonder what migration plan. This is mostly around moving from a non-cloud environment to cloud and seeing how to provide solution improvements. In week 3, there's going to be network topologies, storage systems, and computer systems. Week 4 is about security and compliance, but also about optimizing, looking at technical processes, business processes, and resilience like chaos engineering. In week 5, there's how to talk to development teams and advise them. Then looking at the GCP SDK, looking into monitoring, logging, profiling, alerting, release management and deployment management, support, how do you do support, and quality control measures. And the last week, it will be about incidents, investigating symptoms, trying to find the impact of incidents, how to resolve issues, and how to create a postmortem. Yes, tips and tricks. The exam itself is 2 hours. It's a multiple choice and multiple select. There's no prerequisites, and it says here that you need around 3 years of industry experience, including 1 year of actually working on Google Cloud. But it all depends on how intensely you study and how much you get to be the decision factor within the teams you're in. So if you feel like you want to take it, go ahead. It's all a personal choice. The way you could systematically go about it is you build and follow a study plan. As it is, we have suggested the study plan earlier, where there are around 2 different courses and a lab for each of the 6 weeks. But there's also a book in that table that you could have as a companion. Unfortunately, the book is not included within this study group, but you can find it on O'Reilly if you already have an account. Then it's good to understand different business problems and try to think through how you would solve them. And it's always good to practice to learn and not to pass the exams, because even though you might potentially take the certification, it might put you in a difficult situation later. So always, instead of trying to memorize the questions and the different courses, try to understand why you're doing the different things and why are they the way they are. And if you don't understand, do reach out to Slack. And if there's someone reaching out, you as participants can also answer and should answer and help the people in the group, because we're a study group and we're all in this to study together. Yes, sharing is caring, and we want to learn together and leverage the community. So do take that to heart. Now, this is the exciting part. Are you ready? It's going to be on Slido, and I'm going to share a 3 questions, and you're going to vote and see which one it is. Here's how it works. You can go to this URL and type in this code. You have this question. Your customer is moving their corporate applications in Google Cloud. The security team wants detailed visibility of all resources in the organization. Use the resource manager to set yourself up as the organization and administrator. Which cloud identity and access management roles should you give the security team for them to do their job? And you can vote. Wow, a lot of people wrote organization viewer and project viewer. There's some people that wrote project owner and organization viewer. I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds. It's always fun to see the bars moving up and down. But here's how it is. since they only want to have visibility, they don't really need to be project owner. So according to the guides, organization viewer and project viewer is enough. That is, of course, if the only thing that the team wants to do is to view resources. I'll move on to the next question. So the next question is, I'm gonna let you read, and I'm gonna also paste this question because it's gonna disappear in the next, when I go to the next slide. So this is the question. You're a site reliability engineer, and there's a lot of toil to archive unused data and tables within applications, and it's required to ensure your application has low latency. So low latency indicators to meet your objectives, and the toil, which is basically useless work, is preventing your team from focusing on a high priority project that will improve things. So you want to reduce the repetitive tasks to avoid burnout and improve efficiency and follow the site reliability engineering practices. What should you do? 7 people voted. There's a lot of people interested in automation. This is very unanimous. Is that because I challenged you to not be unanimous? But yes, as you might have noticed, that is, automating things is definitely the way forward. I feel like this is to thwart me, but anyway, yes, the correct answer, the only correct answer, according to the guides, is to automate them. The third and last question. Which of the following services offer virtual machines or VMs on Google Cloud Platform? Yes, automate all the things. Wow, 8 people already voted. I feel like you need harder questions. 22 people, 23, 24. The answer is quite there. It is Computer Engine. So Computer Engine is definitely the place where you can find your VMs in Google Cloud. If you want more of them at the end, there are 10 more. But let's see how the questions go. I need to read this because it's funny. Simon says, the go away or I'll replace you with a small shell script applies. Yes, for the automation, second. And problems, not people. Next steps. Follow the learning plan that we shared with you. Attend the weekly study groups so that we can discuss what you've learned, what is coming up next, and how do you feel about the things you've learned, and also fun sample questions. And do, again, ask questions, contribute to the community. We love to hear from you. Going back, as a recap, this is the plan again. So again, you will receive an email with the links from week 1. And this, if you look into the slides, this is the book that I was referring to. And that's it. That's what I had for you today. Do you have any questions? So there was a question from Udai, which should we choose in the Google Cloud Skills Boost? For this week, it's these ones, and it will be in an email. I will also post them on Slack afterwards. The learning journey path is being shared. These slides are going to be shared. Any other questions? Or do you want to have more sample questions? Then sample questions it is. Questions are always fun, especially the trick ones that you don't see coming. If you still have Slido open, you can see this question. The question goes, you have an application that is not intended for the web or as a mobile app. That's very important. It also is not built to host on containers. That is a choice. What GCP compute service would work best for this application? As a note, when you get the slides, you're going to get a static version of the questions, and you will get in the slide notes more detailed answers on why that is the correct answer. So let's see, 15 people voted. It's tight between Cloud Functions and Computer Engine. App Engine has some votes. It is a tricky question. To be honest, I was looking at it and I was like, what do you mean? It's not intended for web or as a mobile app. But yes, the answer is indeed Compute Engine, as in a virtual machine. In order to have App Engine, you do need to have at least a web app. I was surprised with those as well. What Google Cloud Platform service is useful when planning a lift and shift migration of an application from an on-premise environment to the GCP cloud? Rustam also says, why not Cloud Function? Most likely because Cloud Function should be a small piece of code and not a whole app. True. If it can't be containerized, it's fishy that you could fit it into a Cloud Function. Cloud Functions are usually invoked via HTTP requests as well. We don't do technology bashing. Let's see. Compute Engine is indeed the thing. If you take something, then you'd probably want to place it on a server-like environment and then convert it later if you want to. Next question. Which of the following services is an example of infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, on Google Cloud Platform? Feels like for the samples question, if you just select Compute Engine, you're just 90% correct all the time. You need trick questions. Yes, maybe I need to shuffle the questions more. You're right. Compute Engine is a very flexible platform. Yes. Or maybe it's meant to be so many compute engines one after another, because then you wonder, is it really? But yes, it is Compute Engine, because it's infrastructure as a service. Google something lets you combine all of the Google resources on which your app is running, placing them into a single unit. Does anyone know what this is? But source repositories, do they place it in a single unit? Or is it the same amount of units but together? Container registry is an interesting choice as well. And the answer is Google Deployment Manager. I guess when you read the questions, you should probably think about the subtleties. And if it's into a single unit, it probably means packaging. So Deployment Manager combines everything into one. The question was, your organization has deployed resources in a shared VPC. Now you need to peer it with another shared VPC that is used by a distributed team. The additional shared VPC will contain pulled services for a large project. However, you quickly discover that peering between the shared VPC as they are is impossible. What could have happened during the setup of these VPCs that would keep you from connecting them now? And the answers are the options to import and export custom routes when peering must be configured before any route exchanges will take place between shared networks. The analyst, wow, this is blaming the analyst. That's not nice. There was a reviewer there. The analyst who built the shared VPC may have set them up as custom mode shared VPCs. The analyst who built the shared VPCs may have set them up as auto mode shared VPCs. Or one or both of the shared VPCs have not met the minimum number of service projects required for peering. And to be honest, I'm going to also paste the explanation in the chat so that you can read it again. And answer, for the first time, the correct answer doesn't get the majority of the votes, which is great. This is the explanation. The correct answer was the analyst who built the shared VPCs may have set them up as auto mode. When you need to create them in the shared VPCs in custom mode in order to connect distinct IP address ranges for subnets. The answer is the auto mode answer. These kind of explanations are in the notes of the slides, and you are going to get the slides, and the slides contains all the questions that I have asked and the detailed explanation. Networks on Google Cloud Platform are a resource. We have 1, 2, 3 more questions after this, and then you are free. Another tricky question, because there's a good switch between things, between regional and global. And the answer is global. Yet another tricky question where people have not fully guessed. So it says that it's a global resource, which means they're visible to all of the resources in our project. Creating an auto mode network results in the automatic creation of how many subnets in each region? There's a clear preference. It's 1 subnet for each region. Second to last question. You realize the reason you are unable to log in via SSH to your newly configured GC virtual machine is the default allow SSH firewall rule has been mysteriously deleted. You decide to add the rule back to your firewall. What settings should you select? Allow ingress communication on TCP port 22 from any source to any instance in the network with a role priority of 65534. Allow ingress ICMP traffic from any source to any instance with the same priority. Allow ingress connections on TCP port 3389 from any source to any instance in the network with a role priority of. The priority is always the same. And the last question that now switched places is allow ingress connections for all protocols and wow, that is generous, and ports among instances in the network with the same priority. I guess it is a solution to the problem. Remove the firewall, yes. And the answer is TCP on port 22. And the last question, to expand the primary IP range of an existing sitter, I never know how to say this, block subnet in Google Cloud Platform, you need to modify its subnet identifier, host identifier, router, subnet mask. Yes, hint, you need to know what is the SSH port. Yes, if you knew that the SSH port is 22, then you might have an advantage. A lot of people said subnet mask, and that is the correct answer. Congratulations, you have survived the sample questions. Thanks a lot for today, and I hope you had fun. And see you next week.